Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the public hearing. The topic of this public hearing is $34 rate increase as petitioned by the Long Lake Management District Steering Committee. The purpose of this public hearing is to accept and consider public testimony on the $34 rate increase as petitioned by the Long Lake Management District Steering Committee. This is a virtual public hearing. Those wishing to testify have joined by Zoom, phone, emailed in comment, or mailed in comment. If you wish to testify, please visit the Thurston County homepage online and select announcements of public hearings on the left-hand side. The information to join this public hearing remotely is included in that spot. You may also join via conference call, and the phone number is 360-252-9020, extension 1234. If you do not wish to testify, but would like to listen and follow along, please watch the live stream through the Thurston County YouTube channel to help us manage attendance. Thank you. Public Works staff Tim Wilson will provide information on this topic. Assuming those on Zoom wish to testify, I will read your name aloud. I will read the names aloud on the sign-up sheet. And so those in the room have a chance to testify. I don't think we're gonna have any overflow need downstairs. After testimony, if you attend in person, let me see, in-person attendees testify, we'll ask those in the conference call to testify. You'll each have 3 minutes to testify, and time may not be donated to another person. When you're called on, please state your name and your address for the record. The clerk of the board will have the timer, and the timer is up on your right in the room 280. It'll tick from 3 minutes down to 0. And now the public hearing is now open. Tim Wilson will now present background information of the proposal, written comments submitted, and any additional information requested by the board. Tim, you're on.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Tim Wilson, Water Resources Manager, Public Works. On June 30th, the Board of County Commissioners took action to set a public hearing for this date to consider a petition rate increase of $34 for vacant and residential parcels within the Long Lake Management District. Per RCW 3661-120, the public hearing is limited to considering the increased assessment or omitted property. The notice of public hearing was advertised consistent with state law, and letters notifying affected individuals were mailed, in this case to about 1,350 residents. To date, we have received one comment letter, which is in regard to the stormwater fee reduction received by LMDs and special use districts. And other than that, we have received no additional comments either in written form or via email. With that, I believe you have the script for the public hearing in front of you, and I have no other information.
Good, thank you, sir. Are there any questions, commissioners, do you have for Tim? No?
No, he did a good job explaining it even this morning.
Thank you, Tim. So is there anybody on the Zoom, Romero, that would like to testify?
Let me look. Just admitted Mr. Casino, but I don't see him on the Zoom.
Okay, he's on the phone?
It's right there. Mr. Casino, can you hear us? If you do, please unmute yourself. And then if you'd like to provide testimony, please let us know.
Yes, this is Eric Casino, but I do not have any testimony to provide at this time.
Okay, thank you. Can you please unmute yourself? Thank you.
Nobody else on the line? Nobody else on Zoom?
Nobody else in Zoom. Let me check online, on the phone.
Then I will, you say there is no one? Oh, you're checking. Thank you. Thank you.
For those who have joined us via conference call, can you please let me know if you'd like to testify? Hearing none, I appreciate it. No,
Good,
sir.
thank you. Then I will turn to the sign-up sheet, and we have Doug Carmen and John Pettit. Mr. Carmen, will you please come to the podium and state your name and address and testify, sir? Thank you.
Doug Carmen, 4108 Cairo Road, Lacey, Washington. I am a resident of Long Lake and a member of the LMD. I'm also, well, I have been either the vice chair or the chair for the last 20 years. This rate increase is proposed by the board to start saving funds to be able to do an aluminum sulfate treatment on the lake by 2027. That's estimated when the algae will be at a level that would need to be treated. So we need these funds to be able to do that. We have made our members aware, all 1,350 plus or minus, in a newsletter in April of 2019, newsletter in the fall in October of 2019, also the newsletter in the April of 2020. In that was a full article written by me explaining all of the needs for the $34 and what the process would be. We also had an annual meeting in January of 2020 where our members in attendance, and we had a presentation on this subject as well as the petition. All people who participated at that meeting signed the petition in favor of it, and some asked if we could make the $34 larger, like $60, $70, $100. So I have had only one phone call from a ratepayer, or not a ratepayer, a member of the LMD, and that was just questioning it. I think he was negative in when we first talked, and then by the time we were done, and when he understood it, he was fine with it. So we've done a very good job of making our members aware of this rate increase. So the lack of negative submittals is very encouraging, since they are all aware of it and have had plenty of opportunity to participate. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. And what a Herculean effort that you have put out to all 1,350 residents. Mr. Pettit. Is he here?
Yeah, he's here.
I'm here. Good afternoon, commissioners. I think it's great. People want to clean up the lake, the state waters. They're reaching in their own pocket for something that belongs to the state of Washington. Part of the problem's the reason why they need to clean it up is directly attributable to stormwater flow. So, I previously sent you a little letter regarding how I think that you've been approaching this issue quite differently than what I would. I don't believe it's actually legal to be giving a reduction in stormwater rates. I provided you a sheet with a little explanation as to why. What would be the right thing to do, rather than giving the organization, so to speak, an extra $43,000 benefit a year, approximately at this point, for stormwater being reduced so they can pay rates in, what would be better is if the county says, look, you know what? We have this stormwater fund. We'll just pay the cost of the large treatment. You know, having lived on a lake before, having a half-mile of riverfront myself, it isn't, nobody's taking care of it except usually the person that owns the property adjoining it. But the property is owned from the high water mark down and beyond. It's owned by the state of Washington. I'm not going to discourage people from wanting to pay more money to help. That's a very admirable thing to want to do. I'm not sure that I agree with the concept because we're willing, because we're going to get a reduction of stormwater rate, because that could go away. So as you're doing your calculations, including another meeting coming up right away about not only this particular number, but adjusting the rates period regarding some of the lakes and stormwater fees, I think that it would be wise to not render a decision yet. Give some contemplation, check out the aspects of my statement about the question of the reduction in stormwater fees. And I would be very strong to support that. I think that the county, if they want to donate, step up to the counter. We have millions of dollars of stormwater revenue come in every year. And to be planning out here for 7 years out in order to try to get everyone to reach in their own pockets to contribute, this is what government's all about, is all the public. There isn't anyone in Thurston County that I know that hasn't been on Long Lake. Everyone should reach in, and that's a community project. So I'm going to encourage you to look at it and perhaps find a different means of taking care of the expenses of maintaining it for the major treatments. Thank you.
County Manager Chavez, is there anybody else in the room that would like to testify?
No, I don't have anybody from the public. I believe we have Public Works staff, and nobody else waiting.
And nobody waiting on the phone or
No.
on the Zoom? Okay. Well then, does the board have any questions of Tim? Nope. Okay.
No?
I'm going to declare this public hearing, no, public testimony is over. And what is the pleasure of the board? Is there a motion?
Did I hear the county manager say something earlier about coming up on our next agenda, or what's the deal there?
So if you ask me the next steps,
Yes.
after you consider closing the public hearing, we will schedule a follow-up briefing with Tim, maybe in the next week or so, before you take an action, or consider taking an action, where you will be reviewing all the testimony you received today, as well as I believe you requested this morning to have a briefing on the formulation as to how those rates are assigned to those members of the LMD. So those two elements will be part of the upcoming briefing. And again, those will be before this item is for final consideration before you.
I guess maybe to interact with that comment, follow up on it. My concern is that we assess the process in which the state participates and the amount that the state participates. I think that was my discussion this morning, to be able to see if that is currently adequate, because of so many off-lake users that do utilize all of our lakes, so much more than they were, let's say, 10 years ago even.
Is that it? Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Menser.
If we're going to tie, Commissioner, question about that.
I'm okay, Mr. Commissioner Menser, your audio is messed up.
Oh,
It's inaudible. Thank you.
is that better? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just saying, if we're going to tie the question that Commissioner Edwards asked about kind of the rate formulation and structure to this question about next step on this public hearing, I would be curious about the question raised today by one of our citizens about the amount, the stormwater fee drop versus what we asked them people to contribute, and how those numbers compare.
Yeah, absolutely.
It seems to be logically connected.
Is what you're receiving from the testimony today, and the additional information that Commissioner Edwards requested. Yes.
The last two sentences, Romero, were inaudible. I just want the public to be able to hear it clearly. Thank you.
Sorry. Yeah, what as I stated is, yeah, the upcoming briefing will be to address the comments that you received today from Mr. Carmen as well from Mr. Pettit, and also follow up on the request of how the formulation, how the rates are assessed on each of the members on the LMD. And then at that point, we'll see whether the board we'll be in the position for staff to bring a final action for your consideration.
All right, thank you, sir. Any other comments from the commissioners? Nope.
No, sir.
All right, is there a motion?
Motion to adjourn public hearing?
I'll second that.
Yeah. All right, moved and seconded to close the public hearing. Anything else? No, this public hearing is closed. We're adjourned. Thank you.